Our final day of round 4 of the Swiss stage here in SFCL Season 6 is kicking underway with one of our two matches. It's GGG Academy taking on Method. I'm timed late. Joined alongside me is Joe, as he was yesterday. I lied to you yesterday. I'm right back here. El Bozo. Joe, how you doing coming to this one?
I'm good. I'm kind of excited for this one. It's two teams that have a lot of talent on it at their best. A lot of talent in this game, and a lot of falter that we've seen from these two teams. Play that we don't necessarily expect to see from them for them to be in this position for an early elimination. And you expect these teams to not be here, but here they are, and one of them is going to go home, while one of them does get to play for that illustrious playoff spot.
Unlike yesterday, these are not promotion matches, these are elimination matches. These teams are 1 and 2. Should they lose their third match, that being this one, they are out of SFCL Season 6. Let's take a look at our rosters and give you the lowdown on who's playing in these matchups, at least this one to start things off. We'll start things off with Method. They've got Drix, Nyx, Oloid, Loading, and Spy. Overall as a team, pretty good. The rating, 0.9, honestly, to be expected. General neighborhood of 0.9, 0.8 at a 1-2 score line, not too out of the blue, especially when you're 12 and 16 in rounds.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, it's the general ballpark that they're at. And I mean, 44% attack win, 40% defense win. And that 40% is kind of where it really hurts, because a 44% attack win rate is not really bad. A 40% defensive win rate is low. You're going to be hoping that they get those numbers up a little bit. But as we look towards our other roster in GGG Academy, I mean, once again, look at the amount of talent on this team. You have Turbo, Aether, Rethinking, Carnage B, Carnage Basketball, and Wi-Fi. And I mean, you see those numbers pretty polar opposite. That attack win rate is kind of jumps out at you a little bit. 25%, not very great. But I mean, the rest of everything is pretty standard. 67% defensive win rate, a 1.0 rating, 58% cost. I mean, everything is pretty average for the most part, and a little bit different, nothing too crazy, nothing else that really jumps out at you outside of that attacker win rate. And hopefully they can fix that going into it. But I guess two teams have different, it's like a good matchup. Bad defense from Method, bad attack from Gang Academy. So it's hopefully, I guess, whichever one can figure out their issues first has the upper hand in this one.
And both of these teams have played fairly one-sided matches. The extent of closeness in the 3 best-of-1s each of these teams have played is GGG Academy losing 8-6 to Make-A-Wish, of whom actually lost yesterday to 6 Karma 2-0. You and I actually cast that game. But everybody else, or everything else for them, a 7-2 win over Decimate for Method, a 2-7 loss to HK Rebels, and a 3-7 loss to Wildcard, and then GGG Academy in the first 2 rounds, 1-7 loss to West Garfield Park, and a 7-2 win over Red Right Hand. By no means are these close matches. Those will really lead to those, I think, skewed statistics over time. If there was more time in this league here for either squad, I think those would balance out a little bit more. The attacking win rates not being good, I think, cost you more often than not, especially when it's 25%. It's not good, but it can be managed, and in a best of 3 there's more than enough time to do so. We'll take a look at our maps, figure out where our best of 3 is heading. Spoiler alert, map 1 is ... I'm not going to spoil it, because honestly I was told and don't remember. Chalet.
It's fun. Chalet, Border, and Cafe. It's quite a fun map set, if you ask me. You normally, especially catching T3, cast a lot of boring maps, as that's typically where teams tend to go. But, Chalet and Border, not on the boring side. Cafe is pretty default map, but I'd say it's one of the more fun ones, all considering. And, I mean, if I kind of look at where these maps lie, on paper, statistically, I'd say that GGG Academy is at the disadvantage, because Chalet and Border historically can be pretty attacker-sided maps, and as we saw, they're not a good attacking team. So, however, what I will say is they decided to go with a border pick. And from what I know about this team, this is a little bit more of a pug stack. And with that free flowing style of play, that sometimes, maybe not on a map like Chalet, that does require a little bit of structure. But however, that free flowing defense can help you. On a map like Border, that free flowing state can really help you on your attack side. So I think that is a good pick for them. I expect them to come out hot on that map, especially considering they are starting on that attack side. Chalet, I think, is going to see what they're made of, just because, like we said, as you can see, they are starting on that attack side. And with that attack number so low on a map like Chalet, where you need to get those attack wins, we'll see really the trajectory of how this series is going to go quite early on.
And moving that into Border, and especially Cafe, that'll lead to more availability for aggressiveness. We saw that in our previous series, especially with Cafe being in that conversation. But by no means is it a entire hold where you're saying you're completely out of the realm of possibility to win a series if you do lose Chalet. Border is still a possibility for them, and then Cafe more than so if they do make it to that third map. Really, both of these teams not having to play stock standard in any specific way will give them the availability to hold long term, and that's going to be their way to take this series. Unfortunately, we've been given news that Karn is not home yet. So, we're going to send things to a break. When we come back, our first map of Chalet.
These feelings we choose to pass on for lesser love, you know it to be true.
Everything is twofold. What's joy is pain on the other hand. And what happens when the one that you love is the main cause of your suffering? I need you like I need air to breathe. I need you to save me from me. I'm caught in your wave, I'm drifting away. I need you to save me. Please don't let me drown. 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 Whoa. Give me all of your lies, 'cause you're my demon in disguise. I learned to love the cage you keep me in, but the walls keep closing in, and I don't wanna die, but your poison feels so right. Why do I want you when you're bad for me? My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe. My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe. Like I'm drowning with all of this darkness surrounding. You need me like you need air to breathe. You want me to save you from me. I know that you're trapped inside this wave. Who's gonna save you? Who's gonna save you from me? I can't see you drown. 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 Whoa. Give me all of your lies, 'cause you're my demon in disguise. I learned to love the cage you keep me in, but the walls keep closing in, and I don't wanna die, but your poison feels so right. Why do I want you when you're bad for me? My perfect storm, my beauty.
We're back, and we're raring to go here as Map 1 of Chalet is about to kick underway. It's GGG Academy taking on Method to stay alive here in SFCL Season 6. Losers out, winner moves on to round 5 of the Swiss bracket, plays another best of 5, best of 3 to try and move themselves forward. Time to light, still joined alongside me is Joe himself, coming from both Collegiate and T3. Joe, I need a team. Who is taking Chalet?
On the spot, I'm gonna go with Method, but in a very close fashion. I do think for GGG Academy, I think they have to take this in 2 maps. So I think if their win condition for the most part is take Chalet, if they don't, tough news. I don't think they'll be able to win Cafe just because of the structure of Method. But I think it really just goes off of how well GGG can attack on this map. If they can attack well, I think they'll be fine, because I think on their defense, they'll be able to give Method some problems. But like we said, and we can go over this over and over and over again, it really just comes down to their attacks.
Some quick housekeeping things. 5 teams have been confirmed into the playoffs here. Airlize Academy, HK Rebels, 6 Karma, and Wildcard Gaming Aces. 4 teams have been confirmed for round 5. Make-A-Wish, Orbit, West Garfield Park, and Outlast, with just 4 teams left in round 4. Lycus Empire take on Decimate Gaming after this, and of course, our matchup here, Method and GGG Academy. Winner will move on to round 5 just the same. You said it, win condition for GGG Academy, make it in 2. Cafe may not be their best of scenarios. Dropping out Ying off the bat, with Method taking out both Nook and Valkyrie. What does GGG Academy remove last?
Yeah, and I think Ying, especially at a higher level, is getting banned out a lot. And I remember talking to Yeti about this, who now plays for Mirage, is that a lot of teams really can crutch Ying because of how good she can be in the right hands. And especially on Chalet, which is a map that can be made pretty linear, she can be extraordinarily powerful. So getting her off the board is pretty big. And Solus, which ever since she debuted into this game, can be very, very strong, especially on Chalet, just from how the runouts are, being able to spot those Claymores, drones. You know, the flank lanes on this map, there isn't a lot. So being able to see if there's a cam and if someone's on the cam, it really just allows you to sneak up. And, so she can be very powerful. And as well, something to note is from Nyx, who has brought it out with the Brava. Brava can be also very powerful on this map, just because certain cameras, as we said, there are tight lanes and not a lot of area really, to see. So hacking that top blue cam and hacking that main lobby cam gives you so much information on the map, and making Brava pretty powerful. However, not going to be brought on this site in particular. Switching off. Oh, I didn't even notice. Loading. Ended up bringing it. So a Flores coming out as well, and looking to me like it'll be a pretty direct take.
There are 2 very different school of thoughts for playing the Brava, especially on wider maps, similar to how Chalet types play. You have just gaining default cameras and then maybe some defender utility on primary side, if you can get it, i.e. Melusi Banshees, Wilmai Magnus, you name it. But the other school of thought is you really only want to go for those primary bits of utility, and when you already lose one of those clutch drones, because Not Loading just had it dropped from them, courtesy of Turbo. No, I believe that was Wi-Fi who was walking down the main stairs. That's a problem. And it's another problem when Carnage drops Drix as an opening kill, and Yoriana's off the board in the first 30 seconds of the round.
How did he even do that? Where was that kill even coming
skill.
in? Either way, it doesn't matter as much. That is really bad, just because I think, especially on direct takes, I kind of say this on every team that I've played with, and just etc., is it's just you don't have a lot of control to take, so you really got to take it slow and make sure you don't get picked early, because everybody really needs to be alive. You need the utility, and that's nades coming off the board, and that's not necessarily the greatest thing in the world, not the best operator to lose. And you start to see them stall out a little bit as there's not really any action being done anywhere. Very, very quiet map right now.
Ooh, Oloid setting things up. I thought they almost shot Nyx in the face. Now they're safe for the time being. Spy does find a refrag, albeit almost a minute removed, but not before Afer can turn one back and loading is taken care of. But look, Spy's not done. Well, now they are, unfortunately. Enough shots across Karn, Gribbs, another one back. They are walking into a flank, though. Nyx just walks in from Piano, wins the fight, and just like that, 25 seconds gone, we went from a 5v4 to a 2v2.
Yeah, and a little bit of a mistake to allow Shapai to really walk in there, and then takes a couple fights that he doesn't need to when he should be playing his life a little bit, maybe. I know it's a difficult situation for him to be in, but maybe let his teammates and Nyx and Oloid really walk up and allows for some pressure so that he doesn't get swung out the wazoo. But he took his opportunity, hopped in right through the window, got his kill, got them in library, and really created the space. And that's not something that Shapai should have been able to do in any way. And now there's 40 seconds left in a 2v2, and they've got themselves right back into this round.
Final 35 seconds. If they're going to go, now's a pretty good time to do so. You can see the active droning as Nyx is bringing Oloid into the fray. Does clear mud, so the information's there. Oloid can take the fight should they choose to do so. Turbo, they're just the same, trying to take the fight, but maybe trying to bait them in. There is support from behind, but not enough. Nice shot from Oloid, makes it a 2v1. Flash forward, Wi-Fi can't see a dang thing, and even while Blind is able to find a kill across. A 1v1 now as Nyx is left alone. The Doc can heal himself, but instead will try to actively take the fight, and unfortunately that will end up being their downfall. Shots from across land, the kill is there, as is the round to open things up.
Yeah, and Wi-Fi just once again not in a place to help his teammates. That's twice. You know, he didn't get to watch the. He didn't watch the what is it? The double window hop in through the hatch, and then right there didn't watch the blue stairs come down, as he may not have been able to just because of where the other player was with the pressure. But I mean, I don't know. It's just I'm not quite sure. It's just obviously we don't really get to see everything from there, but I mean, just the help needs to be there, and GGG had the round in their hands, weren't able to convert on the opportunity that they had.
We are fixing a tech issue in the background. That's why you see our faces and not the operator cards. But no, we're right back into the game. Magic tricks. You'll love it. As soon as I talk about it, it disappears. It's kind of like caster cursing, but tech issues. I'm such a fan. Method on the attacking side, looking good to open things up, but not as clean as I think they would like. Considering this is their own map selection, a 1v1, maybe not exactly what they're looking for. Odd decision, though, from GGG Academy. I want to get your take on this from more of a player perspective, Joe. Starting off bar gaming, not unheard of, but then going kitchen dining, completely foregoing Master Office and Snowmobile Garage and Wine Cellar. What's your opinion on their site selection thus far?
I mean, to me, I think kitchen is probably the best site, maybe. I mean, bar gaming is also up there as well. I think it kind of depends on the team's style. I think Master's really fallen off as a site. It's not that fantastic, and it's really hard to hold against a good team, as well as basement sometimes. But like I said, you know, it depends on how strong your roam game is. That really determines how you can do on that basement site. And we see Method starting to set up for more of a direct take, I should say, on this kitchen attack, which can provide some issues for certain teams just because nobody's really setting up their site hold for this kind of a take, just because, you know, if you were to set up for this take, it would make holding library a little bit harder, and it's not something you can fully prepare for, but they are able to kind of react off it a little bit. As you see, the buck is coming out, but no early picks have been found quite yet.
And the big opening for GGG Academy in that previous round was the opening duel. They had the availability to just play a little bit more passive, but Method was able to play from behind. That was the most important part of that round. As soon as they were able to even things up, they played around the trades and their aggression, most importantly the droning, a little bit of help there from Nyx, to give them the round. Now, with a minute and a half, GGG Academy have done a whole lot of nothing thus far. Turtling a little bit, sure, not completely unheard of, but that proactivity kind of needs to be there considering half the time left in the round and Method are directly outside the site.
You see, their ruining and rethinking is actually in a pretty good spot. Talked on that Master Door, and I don't think they've been found. As Turbo finds a kill, Karn finds one as well. And now the round has been completely flipped on his head. I was about to say, really, that GGG had to do something. They couldn't just sit here and bunker and let Method just work around the site. But they find their 2 kills and now have a very large advantage into this round. And given no tomfoolery, they should be able to close this one out.
opportunity. Swing from Rethinkin. Shot first. Does get a decent bit of damage onto Spy even after finding that first kill, but it's down to a 1v4 for Spy. Ace clutch required in about 45 seconds with only about 15 HP. Not gonna happen. Aether will shut them down, and the round back the other way goes the way of GGG Academy. They come back with a vengeance, and on the kitchen dining site, no less, doing so in style.
Yeah, and a good bounce back really from them, one that they needed, and they're gonna looks like go play a little site roulette, and they're gonna choose to go master. No, they're going basement. A little bit of an indecisive moment, but opting to go basement, and I think that's going to suit them a little bit better. I think they really need to get aggressive, put off the structure from Method. I think from what we've seen from Method, obviously they have Oloid and Drix who have really been able to play make in the past for this team. But however, the one thing is that they have so much structure with players like Nyx and Loading, and then you still have Shapai who is a support player. So a very support driven team, and a team that can play very methodical, no pun intended. And that needs to be put off from GGG Academy. They need to get up in their face. And I think that sort of style helps going to this basement site, just because you really have to have a good roam setup on this site, and it's the style of what they need to do to win the round. So I do like the choice to opt to go downstairs here.
Also, upstairs just kind of sucks. Let's be real with each other
So
here.
true.
It's a pretty terrible site, and already losing Bar Gaming, going with the unknown variable versus the known variable, especially when the known variable is terrible, I suppose that would make a little bit more sense on a consistent basis. Method on this attacking side, however, have probably attacked the bottom floor of Chalet about 1 billion times or so over the last couple seasons, give or take a few hundred, but you get the general idea. And GGG Academy isn't bringing anything new, at least not at face value. A bandit for Wi-Fi, seemingly trying to set up a bandit trick on the main wall. That could work, but the problem is if you get naded out of position, or if there's some utility to force you out of position, you're going to run into a few problems. And really the extent of their long-term hold, because Wi-Fi has a C4, Rethinking has a C4, and there's 4 Vulcan canisters, and that's about it.
Yeah, but that can also really halt the push, but Wi-Fi gives himself up. To me, I think that was a little client-sided with those bottles. Good lord. Nightmare Nyx with a beautiful shot to end up getting another pick for them, and a 5v3 now for Method to work with his Karn. Now has a lot of responsibility holding down this backside, and Shapai getting that main wall open. They have all sorts of control to work with. The hatch upstairs, the main breach open, the backside control, so much. The world is their oyster, it seems, for them to really just work this site. And now GGG Academy really need to come up with something big if they want to take this round.
And you can see they're trying to get aggressive in some aspects, but there's no real safe place to do so. Nyx does take a decent bit of damage long range. I believe that was from that cellar door. It is indeed. They're forced away just a little bit, courtesy of the shots across. But look at all the avenues of attack Method have now built themselves up. All the way around through the wine cellar side. That's being shut down a little bit by the Vulcan canisters now being blown up. But they still have the main breach, and they still have that wine wall as well. There's all the avenues of attack if they need them. They just have to send it.
Looks like they're going to try and get very aggressive on Drix on the main breach. If they can find that kill, the swing goes in, and that's huge. Rethinking does end up taking down Turbo, but the damage has been done. A big kill on that Karn goes to swing out, all the way down to 1 HP. Loading, taking some damage, but that relieves the pressure from the main side. They know that they don't have to deal with anything, but you hear Nyx lugging his way over to the main breach, and that just might be the difference. Karn down to 1 HP, there's 20 seconds left, and Nyx actually on Trench finds the kill, and Oloid finds the last one. Rethinking, not enough. Those picks not able to do it as Method close out the round and reestablish their lead.
And honestly, with or without the TK, you're probably still looking at a Method round victory with how quickly they were able to push that into the site. The only issue was the lack of a refrag ability on that wine cellar side. If you have that, maybe you bring it back, but it just doesn't happen. And GGG Academy are shut down on the bottom floor, so they will head back to the only site thus far that they have won. That, of course, no, the one site they have lost. Why are they headed back to... Oh, it's because it's still locked. I know how to do math. Don't try and do math in your head on stream. It's not not the greatest of ideas.
Or just don't be bad at math.
That I'm addition and comical recollection, I'm fine. But you know, try to
Doesn't
do
seem fine.
basic math on stream here,
Some people just aren't built for the pressure, you know?
yeah.
Seems to be you in this situation. And we'll see if either of these teams are built for the pressure in an elimination game. See what I did there? You like that?
That was pretty good.
That was a TTL-esque line right there.
Bars on bars. Bars on bars.
Bars on bars. It's what you do. It's fantastic. I'm just learning from the best, you know? GGG Academy going back to bar, setting up, I guess, not really similar at all to what they did last time. They do have the Azami once again, which can be very, very powerful. And you have Method taking this in a completely different fashion. Oloid on that Maru, which can get that control over here very, very quickly as he's going to sit here. I don't really know why he's waiting to use this to just repel. It's all good. He wants to fly in with style and able to take this space quite early, and I think this is going to be really good as GGG Academy did, you know, they made their adjustments to try and track down that direct take, and that's not what the take is this time. It's actually completely switched up, and I like that adjustment being made from Method.
Or 17 from loading, dropping turbo. Wi-Fi looking for a refrag, but you could see loading just backed away and now has the drone in, dropping a decent bit of utility actually, considering it's just a Twitch drone, which you know you would think has fallen out of favor considering the clutch drone exists. But more often than not, you see Twitch compared to that Brava, and it seems the new nerf, technical nerf, I suppose, that Twitch just hasn't fully set in. Nice jump out from Afer, does bring one back, and Nyx is finally taken care of. So no Maverick on the board, not the end of the world considering it's a bar gaming site. Rethink and taken care of though, and loading is just walking out of sight because why not, right?
Why not? And what are they doing?
Hello?
2 free picks this round would be so clean if they weren't just gifting them back. And GGG Academy, once again, kind of allowed to get right back into the round. But Shapai is starting to put that bomb down. Afer hits the deck now, loading, puts him down, and it's all left to Karn, who finds the first kill. Instantly traded, though, by Shapai, I believe, finding that last kill. And GGG Academy in quite the hole as we see how important these attack rounds are. Method expected from them, given how we've seen their attack so far, and a 3-1 lead to support that.
Yeah, and a reminder, GGG Academy coming into this, if I recall correctly, had a 67% defensive win rate. And yet, now they're losing 3-1 on the defensive side of their opponent's map pick. This is not the greatest of starts by any means, and then they have to go on to the attack of their own map pick, but their attacking win rate's 25%. So just every statistic, feasible or not, is going against them, and Method's looking pretty good to start off Chalet, because while their defensive win rate may not be the greatest, 40% for all of you who were not here for our pre-show, it's still looking pretty good compared to GGG Academy, who've only won now one of our 4 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of expect it, but this is the site that they won, as they were kind of able to get really aggressive on it, and they've not really been able to replicate that, you know, anything really from that round, and we'll see if they can kind of replicate it again. I mean, it's quite similar scenery. Yeah, they've been here already, and looks like Method is going to go for a little bit of a rush play. As you see, they've committed to that Lion, Dokkaebi, and Blitz. So we'll see what they decide to do here, but it looks like they may hit through main door to go curve. And as you kind of see the site, there's no one there.
They're just gonna send it, and honestly, it may very well work. Afer's looking down, the Dokkaebi call just to remove basically all sound, and here comes the send straight on towards the site. Good down, at least onto the blitz of Spy, who's taken out of the fight, but the kill back is there for Oloid, a double on the round, and they're completely shut out of the site here on the defensive side. The spray from Wi-Fi doesn't find nearly anything, and the main breach was not open, so that retake may not be there. Good information play, as a shot through the floor for Turbo brings it back to a 3v3 and guarantees that previously found down in to a kill, but Oloid is not done just yet. Rethinking now from up above, trying to shut things down on the verticality. It's Turbo, however, to now find a double. The first formality off the down, but now a diffuser plant and a post-plant force, and there's no way into the site here for the defense.
Yeah, the one thing that is good for them, however, is that they have that vertical play to work with, is that's kind of what's gotten them back into this round at all, but rethinking, finding the first kill. Now these players are just going to stack up. He finds the first. Strix, a big kill to find this, but Turbo knows exactly where this player is, but he's not able to win the fight. Drix, we've seen that before, and I believe what the qualifiers were, and Drix on the same site, able to clutch out the round, and Method have found themselves into a 4-1 lead.
Full house of kills as well. Drix finding 2, and then Oloid with the opening 3 there for Method. Valiant effort to come back into the round there for GGG Academy, and all in all, decent original hold, all things considered. Remember, it was just a full rush in through the main doors and around towards 45 to just shut them down and shut them away, yet it didn't fully work, unfortunately enough for them. They were forced to play vertical from behind, and when you have no easy way onto the site, nor multiple avenues of attack onto what is a fairly open site hold, they really shot themselves in the foot on that one, reinforcing just about everything possible, reinforcing Master Hatch, and then really just sending themselves, forcing them to send it down those Solarium stairs. It worked out. You can see in chat, we're gonna do it again. I don't think they are, but it would be really fun.
Not that far off. The lineup is pretty dang similar. Outside of the Blitz, of course, and this is kind of a must-win round for me for GGG Academy, just because they kind of aren't great at attacks that we've reiterated over and over again, excuse me, and it's kind of, you know, I mean, more defensive round wins would be good for them, but you know, nonetheless, it is Chalet, it is an attacker-sided map, and the one thing to note is that GGG Academy have played 3 games in this league. Now, and I'm going to ask you real quick, what maps do you think they played?
I'm going to gamble Oregon, Clubhouse, and Cafe, just because
Theme Park.
that's what's normal.
3 times. All
What?
3 times they played Theme Park. So...
I
those
don't,
side
I don't
statistics.
know if Patrick's watching this. Pachisi, our amazing Wikipedia editor, if you could add maps to best of ones, that'd be awesome. Because I know we have the map stats, but I don't see what maps played. What in the world is Method doing? They weren't kidding. They're gonna send it again, just this time on the top floor. They pick a different vertical avenue of attack, but keep the same level of horizontal aggression. And in the first 60 seconds, it's a 2v5. And GGG Academy has no utility, and now just 125 HP between them and a 5-1 scoreline.
Yeah, all left down to Karn, huh? In a 1v5. Something crazy needs to be pulled out as Carnage Basketball getting ready for it as the line scan goes out, loading in a spot that Karn was not expecting. And Method, a 5-1 lead now onto their map.
And it's the question of who can be less worse on a technicality into this second half, because GGG Academy had a 25% attacker win rate, Method had a 40% defender win rate. One of those is going to change drastically in one way or the other. It's whether Method makes it, I believe, 50-50 on the defense, or whether GGG Academy try and make it difficult and possibly send this one to OT. Weird position for Method to be in as well, because you don't have as much confidence, I think, on that defensive side as you just showed on your attack. And also those stats are going to be really skewed for tomorrow if they do indeed make it to round 5 with Swiss. But GGG Academy need an opening round. They need something early to go their way, because this map's already looking over.
Well, let's not go that far. We still have to see what GGG Academy do bring out on this map. This is the first time that they have played an attacker-sided map, as we, have just gone over. So attacking Chalet a lot easier than attacking Theme, but just the things that they would need, the attributes that they would need to be able to come away with these attacks have not yet been shown. So I think you're right. I think that it is trending towards them losing the map, but let's not say anything too quickly, as we haven't really seen them on this side quite yet.
The defense playing fairly extended, all things considered. You could see Nyx up top playing horizontally with the Mira. I like this verticality we're seeing from Method. It was a little bit there for GGG, but in the wrong round, and then it wasn't there when it really mattered. So they just picked the wrong time to do what was right on both sides, unfortunately enough. You can see the extended hold as well horizontally around towards the gaming side, try to play through the hatch, at least set things up fairly well. And Karn also trying to send themselves in towards that office side just the same. And just like that, oh, they're shoot the Mira. Did he want to intentionally leave that one? No, they did shoot the Mira.
No player downstairs on that game's window to stop Shapai from rotating out. He is down to 1 HP, but so is Wi-Fi, and they're taking their space very, very quickly as GGG Academy is. They do know that there is a player somewhere in this bar area, but he has left the scene. He is in the basement, and they're going to have to realize that quite quickly if they're going to keep up this pace. But taking all this space this early is really, really good for them, and good start to the round as they are going to find that mute jammer, and that's going to be a pretty good mute jammer to get, as that's going to allow them to not really sit on cameras over there. So they do sit in that corner of kitchen, no cams to be played. Kind of cool, like that. Beauty of Brava is now they have the control that they need upstairs if they were to go for a direct take, but Afer going to work his way forward to try and get his first kill, but Drix trades one back, finds the second as he still has a shield to play with, and now a teammate to play off of. It is an Azami there to support him as Drix doing everything he can to swing this round right back into their way.
Such a fluid defensive setup as well that Drix can play around. Also has some support from behind. Afer finds some information. Nyx is dropped, but Drix isn't done just yet. Afer on just 1 point of health is dropped through the wall. Loading finds that with a 9x9, and the MX4 Storm finds 3 as Method will move on to map point early here on Chalet.
That's that boy Steven. Drix going crazy in that round, finding 4 big kills, and I'm not really a big fan of them trying to take the upstairs completely. They had all the control they needed. They cleared out bar. They got rid of the mute jammer on the wall. They had the control of office that they needed. They just had to hold it, and they instead decide to push into that Azami, shield, and all of those holes that are there, and more importantly, the gun of Drix. So it clearly didn't work out very well for him. The gun is hot from Drix, is able to find 4, and now they are in Master, and I assume a pretty similar setup will be really used. They still have the Azami. They have the, the shield to work with that alibi that it looks like, I believe, will be in that same position, and no, it's not. But either way, I think their setup will be somewhat similar, and it's really going to be down to GGG Academy to really think about how they're going to change anything up, because right now what they're doing, their style of play is just not enough.
Their attack has to be a little bit cleaner, and this time around I think they also have to change their attacking perspective. Now that it's Master Office, they could probably try something similar to what we saw in the previous take, but the problem is it's going to be significantly more defended early on in the fight, and Spy didn't want Afer surviving as long as they did in the previous round, and they were upset they didn't find the ace, so instead they will make up for it here with the opening kill onto them, considering Afer was the only one in the previous round not killed by Drix. Spy is not done either. A follow-up kill and a rethinking. Method want to go to border, and I think they may very well have the tool. Turbo does find a refrag, so Spy's over-aggression is finally shut down. But still, a 2-for-1 trade in the first 30 seconds of the round. Pretty good if you ask me.
Yeah, no, I'd say that's pretty good, and Shapai being the one that going down. But what I will say is the 2 players that have gone down aren't necessarily the impact players for GGG Academy, but to be quite honest, none of them really have been. So the Brava, the Ash going down, that is that explosive and that Brava, but Brava, I guess, isn't really the best operator on this site specifically, but they need to clear this player out. They need to clear out Mez, and they have not done a single thing to be able to do that, as there are now 2 players make that 3 on this side of the map, and they have just not done anything over here to back these players up.
Problems mounting here for GGG Academy because they have to have so many different avenues of attack, but with few players to do so, their problems don't seem to have any solutions in sight, especially with loading still being alive. The kill into Wi-Fi outside the piano balcony, and now they just have to send it, try and find something back. Karn taking gamble shots into the wall, but Drix just avoiding it, playing behind this reinforcement. Has Oloid for support, looking to shut this map out. Nice kill across onto loading, who is dropped on the floor, but not technically dead just yet. Foothold trying to be created, but they bait out Drix into the kill. Still damage done here by Oloid, as they're swinging for kills, but they're swinging to their death. This is in a 1 versus 2. It went from everything going Method's way to now seemingly nothing whatsoever.
How the hell did they bring that back? Not any way they should have been able to do that, but now Nyx is left in a 1v2, but Turbo, just one bullet breathe on him and he dies, and leaving really Karn up there, but he doesn't have any Selmas left to work with, so they're going to have to try and push through Piano here, and that is a perfect spot for Nyx to be. He can kind of play wherever he wants and not really have anything to worry about, but Karn now kind of knows where this player has to be, clearing out his corners quite well, finds the kill, and GGG Academy extend their stay at the Chalet by one more round at the very least.
They stay alive, and one step at a time here for the GGG Academy, as they are still in it, but just barely hanging on. That grip strength good enough to keep them at least one more round, and Method will head now down to the basement. We saw this defended by GGG Academy. Not terribly poorly, but their defensive side still needed some work on it. I think Method bringing in their current lineup would work a little bit better. I appreciate the Cade versus the Bandit. Drix still playing the Oryx, even though as of 9 o'clock this morning, Oryx doesn't have a 1.5 on the T5 SMG anymore. And Nyx bringing in the Maestro on the bottom floor. I'm curious to see how this one works out for him.
I don't know, because I'm not a big fan of Maestro, especially now that Brava exists, just because Maestro already wasn't that great, but now is even worse with an operator that directly counters him. So not a great fan of that, as you can turn the tides of that. Evil Eye Camrand, you have the Thatcher to be able to do something about it. That Brava is not being brought. It is an Osa now, so somewhat of a take that I assume is going to be a front-sided take. Or even then, just using the Osa to, you know, just be able to play those breaches kind of safely. And I don't believe there's only really one set of impacts, and that is Nyx. So really, outside of those impacts, there's not much that can be done about those, I should say, OSA shields. I don't know what they're called. I don't know what the technical term is
Allen
for
shields.
them. Allen shields. Thank you. They are going for that front side take, so it's going to require them to take this library control, games control. There are all these players out from bar, main lobby. Get this side of the map nice and set up so they can kind of work the breach, make sure that they can get all those players out, and just go for a little bit of a quick... What are they doing?
The problems would seem to occur when you don't actually clear out a shotgun-wielding Cade, though. That C4 is going to whiff by like a quarter mile, not even in the correct room. So unfortunate, no finish on that kill. And actually, Afer finds a kill back. So 2 for 1 at this point. I don't think Turbo is going to be picked up from inside the library. They are hounding this kill, but they're going to do so to their demise. Rethinking, may think they're safe, though. They may have to rethink their perspective as they're dropped away on the re-aggression. Lack of information turns into a death, but now Karn walking up the fireplace stairs. A flash to the back corner of the library lands, as do the shots. When the dust settles and 90 seconds have transpired, Nyx on a Maestro is in a 1v2 to win Method the map.
Have we moved on to map 2? Because that's what it feels like with the style of play that we are seeing here. And Nyx actually shooting the cam, and he's actually found himself in a pretty decent spot, close on the main stairs. I'm not sure Karn is going to hear him, but he misses the shots, actually connects. He's down to 1 HP. It's all left to Wi-Fi, who drops the hatch, hits the shot. Got a little scary right there. Nyx almost clutching it out, but Wi-Fi winning the round, and once again extending the map. But no thanks to Method's play right here. They're just giving these rounds away.
This is a wild, wild finish for Method, who seemingly looked indomitable and now cannot seem to finish out a round in which they have an advantage. I think over-aggression seems to be the problem we saw in the previous round. Oh yeah, our teammate found a down, immediately died. Let's go try and finish off that down with the entirety of the team going for it. All three players who were in the general vicinity of library then were like, mine, 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 mine. It was like Finding Nemo. And they could not find the kill, at least not quickly enough to relieve the pressure.
Yeah, I'd say it's a lack of discipline, fundamentals that should not be going wrong from these players. But I suppose that they feel confident that they're able to close out this map with such a large advantage that they do have. But GGG Academy starting to pick up steam a little bit. A couple of players starting to find their way into the game. That's something they really, really need right now. And on an attacker-sided map, you kind of need all your players, specifically your entries, to really be the ones to kick it up. And if we're starting to find some kills now, Turbo ending up being able to find a couple as well. And I really expect Wi-Fi to be doing better than he is right now. But able to close out the round, finding some kills himself, and GGG Academy looking just a little bit better. But in my eyes, that's kind of thanks to what Method is doing. I don't think it's necessarily GGG playing well. I think it's more so Method gifting away these rounds.
GGG isn't playing poorly, but it's not that they're 100% sending themselves into this. That's the problem. They aren't taking everything that is being given to them, just some things. So, Loading, taking out the drone, still looking for this kill. Magnet will catch the flash, and Loading getting a little ambitious as they back away, and somehow they don't take a single point of damage. But look at the window. There's still aggression coming through. The spray is there. Loading is still here and still doing damage rather than taking it. They come out on top of that fight, but only do about, I don't know, 20 damage or so.
Goodness, he's so aquatic. He's turned back the clock. Look at him. He wants more. They're going to peek out this piano window. Ovoid not able to do any more damage as Loading goes finally to hop out. Not able to find the kill. The Claymore takes him down as Wi-Fi ends up getting one as well. Drix taking damage. So much action going through. Drix has now hit the deck. Turbo able to find that kill out. Shapai going for one. Finds it, but instantly traded by Rethinking, and that leaves Nyx all to himself as he gets full flashed in GGG Academy. Welcome to this best of 3 series.
That's a round that we needed to see them pick up. They were having problems here with finishing rounds convincingly. That is something that exactly went the way they needed it to do so. And now Method aren't playing from behind, but they are playing catch-up even while up 2 rounds. And as we take a look at our replays powered by the High School Esports League, that's an opportunity you're gonna want back. Loading, and also good redundancy on the outside. Nice double kill to close things out. All in all, clean round from GGG.
Yeah, it's probably the best they've looked in this entire game. And what a time to do that, because I think, it's a place you want to be. Your back is against the wall. There is no room for error, but with that round, that didn't feel like a error. It was an errorless round. So, GG Academy starting to assert themselves into this game as they still have 2 attack wins that they need to get. Send us to overtime, but starting to look a little bit better. I'm still worried about it. Winning 5 straight rounds isn't necessarily the easiest thing to do against a team like Method, but hey, they're almost there. They're over halfway there. They've crossed the 50-yard line, so we'll see if they can continue to do it. And I think this is a very, very big round, this basement site. Not one that they looked very comfortable on the last time that they went here on this clear, but able to scrap it away and find it. So we'll see if they change anything up on this attack.
That's his defense significantly more spread out than we've seen from them in prior rounds, even including the first round. Double impact DMP will catch out that Electro Claw setup, so Loading will now have to worry about the main breach, but GG Academy is just going to go a different direction. Both clutch drones have been dropped. No, one clutch drone has been taken care of, the other one now being put around sewers. I don't know why that graphic on the right side shows 0 and 0, but one of them is still active. Weird setup, soft, but you do you. GGG Academy need to be able to find some utility usage into this site because they cannot rely straight up on gunfights because of how spread out Method is on this defense.
Yeah, they are pretty spread out, but this is a take that I've seen many, many times before. Get that main breach open, and not necessarily have to work around upstairs, but just open up both sides and make sure that nobody is really on that hatch to make sure that you can't do anything. And I'm not sure that hatch is open. I'd assume it is if they are playing up here as loading starts to take a little bit of damage. The first engagement, perhaps, of this entire map, and just using 3, I guess, to block an angle for bar doors. Now walls are getting open. Karn opens up that boiler wall, I'd assume, as Turbo finds the kill on what I would believe is a blue. And now there's a player kind of stuck on the pillar here. And if they can find this kill right here, that's a big one to find. And that's going to be a big man advantage. He's just on the cam. They're not able to burn it correctly. But West Main, nobody's looking at the flank. Drix for free, finding a kill. And Shapai finds another one, rethinking, trying to have some pressure upstairs. Not able to do it, and it's all down to Wi-Fi up here, who has a lot of responsibility as his teammates are just dropping around him.
On Wi-Fi, I don't think he knows that both players are up here now. Drix, the shot! What is that? Afer now left alone. 1 versus 4, turned 3, and with 2 players low, sub 25 health, this is certainly possible. The only one above that margin is on full HP. That's Nyx on the backside of the pillar, who we thought was going to die to the nade, but the ADS not being burned correctly has kept them in this for the time being. All 3 flashes and 12 X-Kairos pellets available, but Afer will only rely on the former to try and get themselves in. Nyx also playing around their own Evil Eye that's directly in front of them. There's an availability here for Afer to get at least on towards the site and look for the kill. They need it, but they can't hit the head. Nyx on full HP, the only one at that mark, shuts down the missed shots, and Method close it out here on Chalet as they take their own map pick.
Yeah, a little bit too little too late action from GGG Academy, and scraping themselves back a little bit, kind of a much better result than the potential 7-1 that they would have faced going into that map too, but a lot to take away from it, as we can continue to talk about as we get further on. But I mean, they finally asserted themselves into it, and that's kind of the GGG we expect to see, but just not enough to claw them way back into the map. But hey, like we say, it's a best of 3, not a best of 1. Still an opportunity to win this series, but this does not put them really in the best position.
No, it's still a long series, and remember, this is Method's map pick. GGG Academy chose Border. Maybe not the best of choices for them, considering their playstyle, but certainly a possibility for them to pick up. And then Cafe is really that middle ground between Chalet and Border. That will really decide, as a decider would, who is better and who will take the series, and inevitably who will stay alive here in SFCL. We'll have to figure out if we're staying alive here in the series, or it will be a 2-0 conclusion, and Method can close out Border when we come back to the break and send it into map number 2. First map pick and first map victory here for Method as we take a look at our replays powered by the High School Esports League. They open up strong, they close it out a little weaker, but they close it out nonetheless, and a map victory is indeed a map victory in the end. This is round 4 of the SFCL Season 6 Swiss play-ins. I'm Time to Light, still joined alongside me is Joe himself, and Joe, for GGG, what needs to change as they go on to their own map pick and order?
Honestly, not much. We kind of saw in their attacks when they had that kind of chaotic playstyle and they were really just, pushing the pace, which is mostly the rounds that they won on their attacks. They were causing Method problems, and that's kind of the way that Border is played. So, honestly, they don't need to change that much. I think you get punished a lot more on Chalet with that playstyle just from how the crosses and the cuts can be held. So, I think they don't really have to change all too much because I think Border is a different map than Chalet. And even though they are both attacker-sided maps, fundamentally, they play out quite differently.
Speaking of attacker-sided, coming into this, both of these teams had very mid-attacker stats. GGG was, what, if I recall correctly, 25%, yet they won 3 of 5 rounds on the attacking side. Method was 44%, yet they won 5 of 6. That's 83.3% repeating for all of you mathematicians out there. I can do math on stream, Joe.
There you
Ha
go.
ha ha.
There you go.
But, looking at our stats, Drix popping off, and everybody else showed up in different points. Oloid, you'll remember, casual 3K as they held a rush on towards the kitchen dining site. And on the GGG Academy side, you don't look at a single player and say, oh yeah, there were so many different situations where they should have won a specific gunfight and just didn't.
I mean, yeah, I think it was just the difference of team play, but that's kind of what Chalet ends up tending to be. Like I said, the way that the map plays out, you can really punish teams and get punished for being out of position just because of how much area you can cut off on the map. And it's really easy to catch players off, and that kind of thing can make it harder for pug stacks against a pretty good team. It reminds me a lot of Consulate, a little bit differently just because a lot more of the map is played inside, but you can see a lot from the windows, and that's kind of how Chalet gets played sometimes. So it does punish teams that aren't necessarily playing together as much as so Method having that kind of good map. But as we go into Border, like I've noted before, it kind of rewards the chaos sometimes, and I think GGG has been able to channel that a little bit more than Method has.
Especially considering geographically, or geologically, or topographically, or topologically, whatever the correct adjective is, it's a smaller map. It is fairly tiny, all things considered. Chalet, not the case. Really, any other map in the competitive pool, not even close. Consulate actually leads the closest to Border in terms of overall square footage. But the Border playstyle on the defensive side is not compression as you'd expect. A lot of it is expansion, play towards the rooms that you can hold down, because if you give away too much early, that's a lot of real estate, considering the lack of overall real estate there is to give over in a lot of these rounds. First 2 bans already off the board. Method starting on the defensive side this time around and do exactly what they did in our previous map. They take out Nook. GGG Academy, however, will take out Dokkaebi instead of the Ying that we saw them remove earlier.
Maybe they want to use the Ying. Might be what they
I'd
do.
like to see that, actually.
Channel the chaos. What we'd like to see. The people want to see Nizami getting taken off the board. Nizami can be pretty dang powerful on certain maps, and I would say this is one of them. Chalet is another one. And they didn't necessarily deal with it all too well. So I'd say the Nizami, quite nice. So we'll see what Method does decide to bring out as well. Zero Valkyrie. Also a pretty standard ban, I'd say. So nothing too crazy on these bans. I think we'll get a pretty standard game of Border here.
Ooh, I like non-standard games. They're much more fun. Personal opinion, obviously, but at the same time, those more standard games really show a team and how well they can adjust when everything is as one would expect. Now, obviously, in these more standard matches, you can see teams bring in something new. For instance, Rethinking is bringing in the Brava, at least as an introductory selection. The defensive side, I don't see any outliers, really, especially considering, surprisingly enough, on that defensive side, they are indeed choosing the most played site on Border. that of course being Armory Archives. They're not bringing anything really out of the blue. I think the extent would maybe be the Frost, but even then, you usually see the Frost on bathroom tellers anyway.
Yeah, you do, just because of what she can provide. You also normally see a castle being brought out a lot of the times, but not being brought out. Pretty, I mean, I don't know. I like it because you have the shield to work with, which you typically see in 90, which it has yet to be placed down. So we'll see where that goes. And Amira on this little spot that I know a lot of people call Canadian from way back in the day. That spot has been played even before the change. So I know that call is quite often. I've always wondered what teams do. Like, for instance, like people who have kind of like been up and playing Siege for so long and playing comp, and then all of a sudden, like for instance, like let's say Gavin, right, who's been playing comp for so long, and maybe his teams have always called that spot Canadian, then all of a sudden you're playing with Canadian. Like, what do you call it then? Like, do they still call it Canadian? They have a different name?
Call it you.
You.
Assuming they're talking to Canadian, they should call it Canadian. They're talking against Canadian, or if they're playing against Canadian, they're talking. Oh, they're playing on Frost. That would be a weird call out. Oh yeah, they're playing on operator name here. Anyway, we'll move on. Defensive side for Method, really, again, nothing out of the blue. Setup-wise, operator selection-wise, nor current positional-wise. I do like the setup that Oloid has here around CCTV. This will remove a decent bit of time from the G Academy attack. Removing loading, maybe not doing so much, as the Jaeger's taken up work early. Good opening kill and a good bit of real estate for them to work off of, as well as Turbo's already walking in towards that break side, is waiting in the waiting balcony, and look at that, rethinking a follow-up onto Drix. Problems mounting, but Spy does relieve some of the pressure with a kill across onto Rethinking, as there's at least one refrag here for the defense.
And that's a good refrag to have as well, just because of the buck below, and Nyx finds another one, a big kill from him, and now evening out the odds, a couple of picks going back, but Rethinking being below would be a big pick to have just because of what the buck can do on that vertical play, and just providing a lot of pressure, and kills still going back and forth. Chapai finding his second, and big picks to get as Karn ends up being taken down, not being able to open up these long angles. But Wi-Fi having a couple of shots right here as he goes in, but Afer has now found himself in a very good spot to watch this cross, as Wi-Fi has the case right here, and if he can get to a good area for this bomb and end up being placed down, it would be great, but shouldn't necessarily be easy to do just because of these holes. And Nyx shooting with these bullets from the Vector, not the best gun to be taking these engagements with, but it's really just going to be down to Wi-Fi if he can get himself into this site right here.
Wi-Fi's walking in, has been seen, but the kill is there. It's actually a cross onto Spy. Nyx still safe for the time being. C4 in hand, should they require it, but they are being held on that cross I was talking about. Across towards Fountain. There's the C4. It does miss and should get shot off of that top wall. It gets cool enough, at least an avenue of attack in for Nyx, but they're being held from both sides, and as soon as they stand up, body drops as Afer finds a follow-up kill. Both of the final two kills go the way of the Ash, as the opening round goes GGG Academy's way.
Yeah, and Afer getting that pick was really, really huge. That first pick in that 2v2. Just to really allow Wi-Fi to get into the site and put that bomb down. And felt like, we said it the second he ends up getting in. Afer does have the cross. He's in a pretty powerful position to do so. And able to find that kill, open up that lane for Wi-Fi to get into that corner, start putting that bomb down, and leaving Nyx not in the best spot to be able to win it, as he did miss his C4 as well. And much different GGG that we're seeing, but one that we expected to see just from how their playstyle really suits this map.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Now GGG Academy looking pretty good to start things off, but Method making some adjustments. I was talking about the Frost usually being played around towards this bathroom teller side. You mentioned the Castle, both of those being brought here in our second round of play, but being brought, as the Cardiac Johnson may very well be deployed. What's your opinion of the Pulse here on the bottom floor? Because, I mean, obviously it could work, verticality being what it is, but more often than not, you don't see it played exclusively for that verticality.
I think this is the one site that I think you would see the Pulse a lot, just because it can provide a lot of value, just because, you play that Pulse inside of events, or workshop I should say, and it can really allow yourself to get maybe a C4 kill, or just allow your teammates that are upstairs holding the office side really, well, you have that information, just continue to feed to your teammates, and that can help a lot on just reacting to what the push is upstairs, and Turbo taking some damage from, I don't know what, I would assume his teammate?
In air.
Thin air. I mean, it can be quite toxic in this area of the world.
I need to reload.
Absolute heater from Joe there. Method's defensive side trying to be about as toxic as they could find. Ironically, not bringing a smoke through either of our first 2 rounds is honestly you'd expect on probably both of them, all things considered. Drix try to run out. Nobody's in that general vicinity, so instead they'll have to back away. He did see somebody on that initial peak. Saw a second person on the second peak as well. What do? Look for his third swing? They do! And they find a kill off the back of it, but Afer shuts it down. Afer fragging out. 4 kills thus far through just a round and change. Looking pretty good to start off here on Border.
Yeah, much better start for him on this map than Chalet. He started to wake up, really get warm, and GGG Academy, you know, it is an even man count, but they have a lot of the map right now, which is a very good thing for them, and we'll see if they can build off of that properly, as I think the hatch is... No, it is not soft, but Karn should be able to get that for free, as there is no Cade, nothing on that hatch, nothing preventing them from doing so. It is going to get open, and as long as they can clear these players out from bathroom and get a little bit of vertical play in order, they should be able to walk in just freely, as that castle does not help the defense in this specific scenario, as Afer able to take some space, and I'm not sure that they know that there is a player right there, and some site info coming in would be nice for this team so that Afer can really do his job at being able to find these picks in sight and end up clearing it out. But he's just moving from side to side. So Aquatic, as the execute now, is starting to come in, Dan.
And going down as well inside a bathroom, I believe. Afer now walking forward, dropped out, but they go 1-for-1. A direct trade between the two, and a 2v3 now required. As Spy has to get back onto the site, worried about the rappel, and correctly so. The upside down rappel, you can see it, but as soon as Spy walks, they should be able to be taken out from up above. There's the shots, but it's Wi-Fi to win the fight. A follow-up from that upside down vertical rappel as well. GGG Academy. A clean as flash themselves in, get the diffuser down, and force the reposition straight into the crossfire. Method are torn apart, and GGG Academy make it 2-0.
I mean, if Shapai's going to play across the map, why bring the Pulse? He's in the one area of the map that is just, he's useless, and he's just sitting there. What he needs to do is be in workshop. He needs to be in bathroom, feed the information for their team, because he is sitting in customs, and that's not a place where he's really useful at all. And he needs to be in a place where that information matters. A C4 there could have been the difference at finding that opening kill, but not in that situation at all. And it's just, it's a little baffling to me in that sense, that if you're going to bring that information, you better be using it. Otherwise, you're just useless on the map, and that position is good. You need a player in customs, but it should just not be your Pulse.
Didn't, but it was. Method need to make some adjustments. We were talking about win conditions for GGG Academy. Honestly, winning Chalet would have looked really good for them, but considering how well they've played thus far here on Border, it looks like a completely different team. You talked about them playing 3 theme parks. I think I understand that 25% win rate now, at least on the attacking side, but they need to find something to do otherwise, because this attacking side's looking good, but I think Method can make some adjustments. You're already seeing them. The Mozzie on the board instead of that Pulse. Everybody else staying really carbon copies. Not too many changes in there, but still, GGG Academy bringing in something closely similar. The extent of the changes we're seeing, nothing actually. They didn't change a single option.
Yeah, and it looks like they may be holding the upstairs a little bit harder, just because with that Mozzie, it should allow a little bit of a stalling process on the droning, should slow it down a little bit, and that can waste a little bit more time and force GGG to maybe execute with less time. Maybe that makes it a little more sloppy, but we'll see how that kind of plays out. As you see, the kind of impact that it's having is a minute has gone down and nothing has really happened. As Shapai now also finds a kill on that balcony, and Afer finding a big engagement here, but Drix
Oh.
finding two big ones. Shapai with his second on the round, and it looks like, Dan, those adjustments have paid off for them.
Switch, mainly in their aggression, works out nearly perfectly. Drix a clean double as they swung on both sides of the pillar. Turbo playing Shadows, finds damage on the Spy, but not actually the kill. Still a 1v5. This one's basically a round ender already. It's just a question of how much damage Turbo can do. Really inconsequential. Grand scheme of things, let's be real with each other here. Nade even over top won't even hit anything but thin air. Nobody's even in the room. But it's just a matter of whether Turbo can actually find the kills here, and I don't think it's going to happen. Now, GGG Academy have to work towards the next round, because they have to figure out what the heck went. Notably, it doesn't particularly help, but clearing out players with utility, rather than just information, as Spy finds a 3K, method, clean readjustment, and that's the switch up I was talking about.
I wouldn't even just say information. I'd say that the lack thereof, just because I think that was the whole point of bringing that Mozzie, was to get rid of that information, that hard information, and prevent GGG from really knowing what they wanted to do to get rid of the players. Just because when you have that hard information, it makes it really easy for instance, a support player to coordinate a push onto getting that kill, or if the entry gets that information, he now knows what specifically he wants to do, because he has a hot information basically on that person. And without that hot information, it kind of has you going in blind. You don't know specifically what angle you're supposed to be peeking, and when someone's peeking you at the speed of light, that information is quite useful. And with that Mozzie coming in, the denial of that information, and a nice little adjustment from them. And Shapai, I was just giving him a really hard time for that last round, but off the back of what he did right there, a big adjustment to be made, as well as the placement of those mirrors from
10 seconds insertion.
All in all, decent switches for Method. Honestly, exactly what they needed. And now, GGG Academy have to make some switches of their own. You were talking about possibly bringing the Ying, considering they didn't ban it this time around. That's exactly what they're looking to do, as Method will free Archives for the first time since round number 1. Spy looking to do the run out I love near these stairs towards construction. There are 2 players on the outside of it, actually a third, but they may very well be watching it. A late run out could be fortuitous, but no, Spy's just going to wait and instead hold the peak towards stairs. They'll back away, making sure that better safe than sorry here on the defensive side.
Yeah, I think we all know how important opening pick can be sometimes, especially on a small map like this. It's not as important as like a map like Chalet, for instance, but it's still pretty dang important on an attacker sided map, and we'll see how that goes. It's good discipline from them, but it really is Method's job to get aggressive and find that opening pick, as Shapai is able to do just that. That is the second round in a row that he has found some action early, as Afer starting to take some damage. Does find a kill. Shapai wants more, continuing to run out. Wi-Fi finds one from somewhere else completely, as Rethinking is actually starting to put the bomb down. I think is Karn now in sight. Rethinking ends up going down, but Karn has just found himself inside of Armory, as he's able to take one player down, not before, and on the ground himself from Oloid, and that leaves Wi-Fi in a 1v4.
Oh, and the play from Drix as well, loading also inside of the site on the opposing side. Rethinking thought he was safe with the Talon shields out, the smoke's up, but it just wasn't the case. Wi-Fi has made a decent bit of noise. They are going to get clotheslined from the side, and Drix will remove their head from the rest of their body. Decapitation seems to be the recipe for success here on the Method defense, as they adjust and do so fairly well, considering they've brought 2 rounds right back.
Yeah, I mean, the adjustments came in. You'd expect them to happen, and now it's on GGG's hands to make the adjustments right on back. The little bit of a chess match. We'll see who ends up winning this, and a Tachanka. Interesting.
I love this. Hold up.
Interesting.
You can hear me. But if we could take a look at Tachanka, figure out what gun they're bringing. For a myriad of different reasons. Number 1, the DP27 hasn't been nerfed, but the 9x9 VSN specifically on Tachanka now has a 1.5 and a 2.0. That conversation's gone. They are bringing the DP27. But instead of having, I believe, 17 Shumika grenades, they're now up to 20, albeit smaller mag size. It's down to 5. But that's so much more long-term control you have on the defensive side. that otherwise you wouldn't really be worried about. And now playing with the DP27, you can see they're just opening up everything in this bottom floor. I honestly love this strat, with or without the 9x9, because it allows you to open everything up and still play for those long sight lines, and obviously, you still have the cap.
10 seconds to go.
Yeah, a lot of time wasting, I guess, and
5 seconds to go.
maybe, you know, the Tachanka with that little flame boom booms can really deny a lot of space from very, very deep. There is a lot of range on those things, and with opening up that entirety of the wall, it's not like you need a specific angle. You can be just hucking them things, denying quite a bit of space in that site, but I think that's not necessarily, you know, as viable, I guess the word is, if GGG Academy do get control of the entirety of upstairs. It really just depends on how much control GGG does opt to go for on the upstairs side of the map and how willing Method is to give it up.
Yoloid playing verticality. Basically everybody's up here for Method, bar 2 players obviously, who are spread out a little bit more horizontally. I like the setup for them again. The adjustments are there, playing for a little bit more aggression on this defensive side while still managing their time fairly well. Karn holding the angle from long range, but will instead fall back off of it. Drake's not done yet. First kill across onto Turbo. Not done. They will be downed as Afer finds a refrag, but look at that. They're taken out just the same. Spy from behind, and another 4v3 early.
They just need more information, it feels like, if they didn't have enough, but they're still finding kills as Wi-Fi.
What?
Just walks straight into Tellers, finds his second kill. I'm sure he just spotted that player right there as well, and Wi-Fi in such a good spot, but there is still a player above him. It's Oloid. Has this hatch to work with, so he can potentially see that rotate. Wi-Fi does end up getting taken down, but off the back of that play, it completely opens up this round for the rest of his team.
Karn, long angle again, this time trying to drop down loading, who does not have the 1.5 on that 9x9 VSN anymore. As of again, 9 a.m. this morning on the East Coast, that's been removed. The Capcan, only living with 1x scopes, but apparently living fairly well for it. Rethinking and Karn, both walking around with 1 point, but they don't have a real easy way onto the site. Obviously, you can try and push in through here, but loading, playing proactive, finds the kill, and Rethinking now has to recollect that diffuser, of which has now been dropped on the ground, finally picked up, but they have to now go onto the site. They drop loading, expecting the hole, but now down to a 1v1 with Oloid still up above.
Yeah, and depending on what information they have, Rethinking can really just get a bomb down as the entirety of this wall open. It's going to make it really tough to get a bomb down, and there's a lot of vert going on, but he looks like he's going to try and go for maybe a Vents plant. Maybe right under the hatch, actually, as they have a little bit of information, perhaps, on this play as he gets a lot of damage taken, and now he's trapped in this corner. Oloid knows he has that information, everything he would need to clean out the round, and Oloid finds the kill, is Rethinking unsuspecting of that angle and not able to do anything about it. Oloid, a nice little clutch from him.
More problems mounting for GGG Academy. Remember, they won both of the first 2 rounds, Armory Archives and Bathroom Tellers back-to-back. Since then, they've lost the full rotation from Bathroom Tellers, Armory Archives, and then Ventilation Workshop. Now, Method looking to close out the half 4-2 on what is normally an attacker-sided map. Granted, neither of these teams attacker-sided in their statistics by any means, but GGG Academy have to look good on that side because their defense, while it's looked pretty good, you have to remember, it's been on the theme park, so it better look pretty good.
Yeah, and it's tough because this is a map that is attacker-sided, and it can be defender-sided, just because even though, you know, it is attacker-sided, it is on the attackers to make the plays. And at this moment in time, they're not doing that. And Method have kind of figured that out and have started to play around that quite well. And, I mean, it is a big round. A difference between a 3-3 and a 4-2 attack split, or I should say defense split, is a very big difference on a map like Border that can swing so heavily either side. So we do see that castle come out on this site. It's not something we've had before, and it's something that I think won't matter all too much just because the player that ends up playing that window late round has been the Flores, so should be able to blow it up no problem. But they did struggle to take the upstairs the last time, and you see how many players are now upstairs committing to this upstairs hold for Method, and we'll see if that pays off again, but it has so far for them.
Defender exposed.
Trying another run out. I don't think they're done yet. I guarantee you Spy's going to try it again. They have to wait a few seconds because I think Aver's backed away, as they have. But still, obviously, a possibility for them to still peek this. And GGG Academy, again, are keeping their options open. I always love the early rounds from them. There are so many different avenues of attack. They at least prep to look good later. Of course, this north balcony, they're going towards east stairs. They were trying to prep CCTV. We've seen that a few times as well. They're not just discerning themselves to one specific option, of which, if it doesn't work, the round's already over. Well, that didn't work. That also didn't work. Okay, well, CCTV's off the board.
It's tough. They've just struggled to clear this player out of this position multiple times, whether it's Drix or Shapai. They've both just had their way, just in one little position, not just one player, even two, not being able to clear that player out. And when that isn't the first time that that's happened, it's kind of concerning.
I think those concerns are going to be relinquished anytime soon, unfortunately, here, Joe. This GGG Academy now in a 3v5. Their options now fairly limited, but not out of the window just yet. Spy gets a little over-aggressive, over-ambitious, one could say, as they walk back into where they currently held and are dead off the back of it. Wi-Fi, a reminder, this is not an Armory Archives defense. They have held this down fairly well, but they honestly don't need to, and Drix will back away off the back of it. They should be able to fall back to safety as well, because while it is a 4v3, GGG Academy have very little utility to use for the remainder of this round, and they still have to fully take laterally.
They do. And I think Method have put themselves in a pretty good position to win this round, but you kind of see the silhouettes going on. There isn't a lot going on, but Loading finds two upstairs on a nice flank.
What?
Make that three! Loading! Turning back the clock, getting into his old form, and he snags three in quick succession to close out their defensive split.
I think Loading was honestly just waiting there the entire time. They just didn't clear him whatsoever. They thought the top floor was clear. They had information that there was a mirror. There's like, there's no way that the mirror is still on the top floor after the remainder of their hold has been cleared. But they just didn't fall away. And the setup worked for Loading, dropping three players, all in fairly quick succession. The first two, I think, the most important. You find that first kill, you may get refragged, but the spray transfer there with that Vector in hand, and Method make it a 4-2 split, giving them seemingly every measurable advantage heading into this second half of play. The only disadvantage, it's not their map pick. That's all that GGG Academy have working for them.
Yeah. And
Bomb located by
still can be. Their attacks, as we've seen, haven't been great. And even though this can be attacker-sided, maybe their defenses can be fantastic. They have quite a high win rate on it, but I mean, what is it? What's 2 divided by 6? 33? 33%?
10 seconds to go.
It's better than their normal split. So that's pretty good. Go GGG. Good heavens.
Attacker's objective is
It looked at least a little bit better, but shorter terms will make that a possibility. Wi-Fi, I think, is going to try this run out. They will indeed. With a holographic in hand, they do about as much damage as they take. Almost exactly, as a matter of fact. I think they lose that battle by maybe 4 or 5 health, and that's it. It's all in all fairly inconsequential first fight. But Method on this attacking side are fairly happy with that. Spy is playing on the Ying, so they're just going to play back for information and to remove it. Granted, mostly visual information. Because who doesn't like seeing or hearing anything? Everybody. But GGG Academy, their defensive side's fairly content with just playing patient for the time being. What's the plan here for Method? Are they going to try and go straight up the hatch? No way, right?
I think there's a way. Look at that. The smoke's coming in. The Ying's going through. They have the glass to work with. As Shapai does have that case in hand, but they're going to decide, after all that utility going through, they do not want to go for this. And Wi-Fi
Oh my.
getting 1 kill, but Nick's finding one right back in the punch hole.
What?
Little bit cheeky from Turbo. Afer finds another one. A 4v2 out of nowhere for Triple G to work with, as Oloid and Loading are left on their lonesome to fight off almost all of the enemy team.
Loading, prepping those shots. You could see through the yellow smoke with yellow outlines of his own. Afer has to play a little bit conscious of that possibility, but Oloid really alone over towards this CC door. If they were to look behind them, they could find a kill. Loading finds one at a Karn, so they're dropped off that Mira. No C4 available. The extent of plant denial is a single toxic babe in the hands of Afer, and they're throwing it out. There's still 1 minute and 10 seconds left on the clock. Turbo's back on their peak hole shenanigans, but they may very well be taken out off the back of it. Remember, Loading is on that OTS, and Oloid is just holding W in. A 1v1 on the direct site. They need to worry about their flank, but they may not be focused too much on it. Turbo now readjusting towards the site itself. The shot's taken with the glass, but Loading wins the fight. A follow-up onto Rethinking, and Method bring back a 2v4 in just 60 seconds of time to extend the lead to 3.
Quite big. Loading going big at the end of the round once again to close it out. A 2v4 for them on that opening, and it looked like GGG had it. They were great. They looked oh so good, and then threw it away. We've seen that so many times from so many teams. Method did that last time, and here we are. 5-2. Method looking to close out this series, and you'd like to see their early round go a little bit better. I think, I don't know what exactly caused them to put the pause, the halt, stop sign on their original quick take, but I guess they were able to clean it up in the end, but it didn't go oh so well. So I think it's good that they are able to bring a round like that back, but a little concerning to me that they weren't able to work off of that original push all too well.
Now Method's attack. What do you have to change here? Because obviously that round wasn't the greatest from the start. Being torn apart a little bit from limb, from another limb, mainly with the EDDs that cost you a little earlier on. I would have liked to see an IQ selection here for Method, especially considering all that utility on the defensive side that relies on electronics. Mozzie Pests, obviously, maybe not, but I mean, those could be used in the Prismas, EDDs, and the Vigil information removal.
Yeah, and you have the Capcan this time, which I like. Did a good job the last time, got a kill out of it, and we'll see if you can find any more. Something that they do need in the Ying being pretty well utilized, I'd say, from Shapai. They weren't able to use it all too well the last time, even though it kind of faded out. I guess a lot of space as Drix does get that opening kill. It feels like now Method really stepping it up on these early engagements, but Karn finds that kill right back. A nice shot from him as the Glaz finding a pretty free kill as the plant can start to go down. It's Nyx putting that bomb down in a very close position. I don't think anyone's going to be able to do anything about it. Not able to find the kill. It's Loading able to find it. Nyx does end up going down, but Turbo, it's going to be tough to find these kills. The Glaz posted up on this window, making it very, very tough as they have to try and stick this plant, as it's all down to Turbo to make it happen. Finds the kill, is Loading, finds the second, it's Loading again, putting the team on his back, closing out yet another round for Method as they put themselves onto series point.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that is 7 kills for Loading in 2 round time, and Method are now on to map and match point because of it. They are not done kicking here in SFCL Season 6, and GGG have to face match point this time 4 times over, and just map point in the previous round, of which they saw 5 attempts at. Well, they would have, assuming they won straight through.
Yeah, I mean, Loading's being the star player. I mean, you don't necessarily, and this is no shade, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. It is because of his role, not because of him as a player. But you do not expect to see him be the one to pop off for your team, as you have Oloid, you have Drix, who has been able to do it. Even Shapai has had his moments in this game. You don't expect Loading to be the guy, and when you have him shooting like this, it makes it very difficult to beat this team.
To be exact, by the way, it was 7 kills in 2 rounds. The 3K, all of which was found in the 2v4, and then of course we just saw the 4K from the window. 2 to open up the round and then 2 to close it. Granted, the 2 to close it were basically just formalities. He could have sneezed on them and they both would have died because of how low they were from previous engagements. Kind of from him as well, but still an applicable conversation. Method just looked clean and decisive. That's the most important part, especially on their defensive side, but now on their attack as well. Found a little chaotic, but now looking a little better, and then Nyx is domed on a spawn peak. That feels bad, man.
Batman moment, but this is the moment last map that GGG Academy started to wake up a little bit, and maybe that'll happen again as they've netted themselves another opening pick. And a C4 going out not far enough. Gotta work on that orange strength a little bit as he's not able to find the kill, but Shapai starting to take a lot of damage. Afer looking for it.
Wow.
He's looking for it, and wow, he just hopped in.
He tried, and then he died. Valiant effort, but an unsuccessful one at least there for Oloid. No hero time around. Wi-Fi has information. If they want to try and send this, they could. But the problem is, it is being held on an upside-down rappel. That would be a wild bait, where you intentionally hop on a drone just to bait out a Solus, so you can try and find a kill. You're playing 9x9 VSN with a 2.0, because why the hell not? Wi-Fi does find the kill, but onto loading who was on the upside-down rappel. They are down. That nade around the corner I don't think is going to extend far enough. No, it does not get TV cash, but look at the HP! That's what? 25? 50? Well, make it less. They have a combined 50 health on GGG Academy.
Yeah, not very high if you ask me, and Karn putting that 2 times to the best use. And oh my god, he just ran through it! Shapai ends up getting taken down, rethinking saving Karn's life, as I'm sure he's very thankful, and Drix ends up getting the kill. And here we go. A 1v2, maybe a 1v3 opportunity for Drix to close out the map and the series. Is he a sneaky little snake going through cameras left and right, all that information coming through. And Dan, does he have what it takes to pull off the spectacular and close out this series in extraordinary fashion?
He certainly does, but the problem is, look, Karn still has 12 Shamika grenades left for 49 seconds of play. And as much as Drix may want to walk in, there's no way they expect the backside of TV to be occupied at this point in the round. They're going to die to the right. Afer's going to find the kill. And not with the shotgun, actually with the AUG A3 in their back pocket. But nonetheless, GGG Academy walk away with a round victory. And they were playing around utility just to make sure that the there was through.
Yeah, and look around for them. I mean, GGG is just kind of running around a little bit, and that can be good as long as they're winning their fights and finding the right opportunities to do so. And that round, they found the right opportunities. It was Wi-Fi picking those up and just going through left and right, and that's good from him. It's something we expect to see from them, and from a pug stack, it's just going to have to be them finding their opportunities, picking their moments, and they did just that in that round.
And defuse as many bombs as they can.
GG Academy still have a large road to redemption here on Border. Again, best case scenario for them is OT into a map, and that would only send it on to Cafe as a second map. This is not a series winning situation for GG Academy. It is a live situation in what was already a staying alive situation. PSA, this is the 1-2 bracket of round 4 of the Swiss stage. Loser of this of SFCL, winner will join the 3 others already guaranteed in round number 5, sorry. If I recall correctly, West Garfield Park and 2 others. I'm not checking right now. I have no idea what you're talking about. They are Make-A-Wish, Orbit, West Garfield Park. There we go.
Good job. Good job from you. Hold on. Quite nice. Quite nice of you. And we don't gotta worry about all that right now, as we're looking to see which one of these teams will be joining the ones just listed. But what I will say is Method has looked a little scary, and I think GGG has been very, very sloppy, which is something that we expected to see, but maybe not this sloppy, especially on a map like Border. But hey, an opportunity is rethinking, finds a kill. Oloid gets the trade, but Wi-Fi gonna go right back to find the kill as he downs that Ash. It's Wi-Fi just shooting at his demons, and he's just gonna go for the long rotate, go right back through Passport. What a smart rotation for Wi-Fi as he's able to get that kill and escape with his life.
Houdini is in the house, ladies and gentlemen, and his name is Wi-Fi. Ethernet connection seemingly required to get the heck out of Dodge on that one. Drix may be able to punish, and Wi-Fi does finally die, but Karn immediately finds a refrag, and GGG Academy retaining their man advantage, now still facing map and series point here on border. Drix drones forward. Should be information should they look down the middle stairs. They will. That information is shut out. But good back out from Afer. Drix still wielding both of their nades, and oh my goodness, Drix is chasing. Where you were. And they're dead.
Tough. Turbo winning a big fight right there, and now all down to Loading, who has been the guy throughout the entirety of this series on that little semi-automatic sniper rifle that Glaz has, but this is going to be a very tough one for him to win. The smoke goes out as you can see through those smokes, as can Turbo with the Warden glasses, but this is just going to be a tough one to win as there's only a minute left, and Glaz's gun, not maybe the best gun for this situation. He's now going to start taking his fights right here, finds the first onto Afer as he's now lit down to 1 HP, still 45 seconds to work with, and giving himself a little bit of a sense of potential to win this round as he's now spotted right here. He finds the second. Loading, making this a 1v1. It's all down to Turbo to save it, but Turbo clutches it up. God dang it, it got scary.
My goodness, the heart rate on that one. You gotta feel for the GGG Academy squad, but the intimidation that Loading is putting forward, frag after frag after frag. They've already surpassed 15 kills. I believe that kill right there may have made it 16. In a map in which has barely gotten out of double digits in round speed. That was round 10, by the way. 1.6 or 1.5 KPR, whichever one it is. Loading is popping off. On a Glaz.
I mean, he's just a beast. Straight up. I don't know how else to put it. He's just been able to do it all, I guess, on this map, but I think the main issue is that they're not baiting hard enough. You know GGG is going to get up in your face on these defenses. They've done it time and time again. You need to punish them for that. They've not been able to do that. And, for instance, Wi-Fi on that rotation wasn't punished for his play right there. And he ended up getting taken down at one point. But still, like, that's not something that should be happening. And I think Method either have to really bait, or they just have to have someone spearhead and just walk into the map. But that's not very viable now, is it? They need to play for that first pick and just play kills. They want to try and play towards sight, and that's not something you necessarily should be doing, just because a lot of this is being fought away from sight, pretty far off of it, to be quite honest, especially in the CC area, top east area, which are kind of very big focal points on the map, but still, they're being given kills and they're not really doing anything about it.
Oh, Wi-Fi was going to try running there. I'm honestly a little disappointed they didn't, considering what we saw in the previous round. Method playing a little bit more patient this time around, not aggressing as much as we've seen in rounds prior, because them on map point, either way, not the greatest of win rates. Last round we saw them winning 6-1, they just barely won 7-4. We had seen them winning 6-2, but they're now only winning 6-4. Nice opening kill though. Karn dropped Legion off the board. Decent pickup, and a good fragging pickup as well, because Karn was looking to play a little bit more aggressive with that T5 in hand.
He was. The gun that can be pretty dang good, but the only concern is they haven't had any pressure onto Armory quite yet. And that's going to allow these players to kind of do whatever they want upstairs. As Rethinking now gets taken down. That is 2 players from below getting killed, but Wi-Fi been the guy so far on these defenses, finds a big kill, but Loading finds another one. He's going to go through that rotate. Wi-Fi finding the kill as he's been waking up, stepping up in a big way, but Nick's starting to put that bomb down, and Turbo going to be big here. That's a big kill for him. That bomb's still going down. He's not able to take him off of it, not even able to find the kill.
What?
Oh no, Nick's going down outside, but Wi-Fi finding both of them. That's 4 on the round, and GGG Academy pushing it to the limit. 12 rounds. What a clutch from Wi-Fi.
That should not have been required either. I don't know what the heck Turbo is shooting at. Maybe his mins after that fight. But Method, what a finish for them to be removed. You thought, oh, Diffuser down, he's going to get out, and it's going to be a 1v2, 2v2 post plant? No, Wi-Fi's like, I have a P90 and a grudge. And Method are now facing what could be overtime should GGG Academy win what is the most played site on Border. Competitive match, unranked, or ranked play, all of them point to the exact same, which is kind of ironic considering if you play a quick match, you don't actually have a choice, yet it still somehow is the most played match or site.
Did not know that fact. Too much.
Actually,
I'm sure you do though, because you get absolutely destroyed in rank every time you play it.
all the time. It's atrocious.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, it's not for everyone. Everyone's a beast.
I talk about video games for a reason. I don't play them.
You play to have fun. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't know how getting absolutely tucked every day is fun, but to each their own.
It's not.
To each their own. But I believe the last time they went to the site, or at least one of the times they went here, is this only the second time? I'm correct on that, correct?
Yeah.
It is right, and the last time they were here, they got it down to a 4v2 in their favor. They just weren't able to close it out. So, from what we've seen from this site, a pretty confident one for me, I'd say, for GGG Academy. Only thing is that was off the back of a misplayed rush attempt from Method, and that's not what they're doing here. They're going for a little bit more of a take, an actual take here. And we'll see what that really does for them. But all of these players are on this office side, and it looks like they might actually go for this quick take. Kind of setting their drones up as they have the Bravo, but they still have that glass to work with and those smokes if they would like to use them. And they might actually go for this quick plant, but there is that Tachanka, which will make it quite difficult for them to just walk in there and get that bomb down, as there's going to be so much time wasted with those things.
They can start to get that diffuser down before the Shamika launchers come in, then they have a shot. But the problem is it's being held from so many different angles. You can see Wi-Fi from the back corner of lockers. By trying to push forward and gain some real estate towards 90, I believe they may have seen somebody long range. Nyx has this SLR in hand. I love this setup, but the problem is could cost them a DMR fight. Now, they still win the fight because, you know, it's Nyx. He doesn't lose those. The problem is, now in a 2v4, we've seen them take these before, and Oloid was one of the two players. This time, Nyx has to be the hero, not loading. Or not loading.
There you go. Not loading.
Attackers recovered
Right.
the diffuser.
Afer is in a very good spot here. I'm not sure that he's going to get spotted out. He does see the gun barrel now, and Afer finds the kill. It's all down to Oloid, and has been able to do it in the past, but this is quite the tall task, as he only has a minute to work with. An angle he's unsuspecting as Afer sends us to overtime.
You know, for both of these teams having supremely mid attacking win rates, they were pretty good on the attack, all things considered. What, 66% win rate for both of them? GG Academy having 25% coming into things. If I do, that's pretty good. But, I mean, their attack needs to change, as Method will start on that side. And GGG Academy on the favorable defensive half now, as things stay the same. I think Method, even though they've been in front for seemingly ever in this series, they're finally on the back.
Yeah, it's a lot of rounds in a row that GGG has won, isn't it? And loading has been the star player for them, but on their defenses, it was Shapai and Drix that were going crazy for them, and that's not happening anymore on their attacks. So, not great, I would say. And they need to change that. They need Shapai and Drix to really get on into it. It feels like the spearheading isn't happening that we typically see, and Drix can't do that on his own. He needs other players to step up in that department. But it really feels like GGG Academy is really woken up and starting to win these gunfights that they weren't winning at the beginning of this game.
He's woken up. Wi-Fi and Aether, the top two in that conversation. Karn's offered a lot of support in the background, mostly in utility. Turbo has been there in real niche situations to find important openers. That's where they've shown up to give early round support. Rethinking has really just been the consistent backbone, playing what we've seen as the Womai. We saw in the previous round, they were picking up that Womai again. It's really just about that consistency around the squad setup, and they've had that. They now just need more rounds. 2 of them, to be specific, if they want to lock out Border and now send us to a third. But Wi-Fi dead first is not what they were looking for.
Yeah, Wi-Fi's been so impactful for them, especially a Solus going down. Not great, but Oloid taking a lot of damage from that, and it's going to be down to the rest of these players. Aether's been going well for them. Turbo's been doing quite well as well, and this Armory setup still holding strong as they still have control of the CC side, and it's really going to be down to Rethinking to go big in this round, and kind of on his own at the moment, and there's nobody on that little horseshoe area to really help him out. There is Aether to try and watch that break position. His loading takes a lot of damage from Aether right there, and Method slowing it down a lot as they know that all they need really in this round to win it is the CC control, so they are taking their time quite nicely.
Rethinking still stuck in this corner. No way out, at least not as of right now, and a good swing. Drix is there, support from Oloid, and a follow-up from Nyx onto Aether. The 2 VIPs have been taken care of, and a Rethinking drop just the same. Karn from behind, though, with a 2.0 on that 9x9, taking the patch notes to full effect, as they're not done just yet. Well, now he is. Drix will remove him, and Turbo's in a 1 versus 4. Not an easy by any means, but if you're going to have anybody, well, you'd want the Warden with the 1.5. Unfortunately, Oloid, long range, near pixel angle to hold towards metal. And the back of it, Method on to map and match point again.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of them going Armory, to say the least, but that's okay. I mean, all good. Do you have another
I
opportunity?
thought they were going customs expansions. Method, for a second, picked customs inspection, and I was really hoping for it. But no.
Not a lot of teams go there. I don't even think that's like actually the worst thing in the world. But you never see it. Which is interesting. But that's okay. We have a bathroom defense coming out from Method, a site that they looked pretty comfortable on for the most part. Later on in the game, once they started committing more towards that upstairs room, as they have the mirror now to work with and that castle once again. So very, very similar setup, it looks like, to what they had last time. And it's really going to be down to GGG Academy to figure out what went wrong and how they're going to want to fix this, because they didn't even get a chance to dissect this defense this last round, and they're going to have to try and figure out a way to do it this time, because their backs are against the wall once again, and they lose this round, their SFCL season, it's over, Dan.
The problem for Method, but GGG Academy, I still think, are in this. Their attacking side wasn't abhorrent, but it just needed some work. And I think with the time on the defense side, they've had the time to readjust that mindset. And Method isn't bringing anything new. We've seen this specific setup a few times over. Nyx back on the castle, Spy back on the Oryx. Oloid, oh my gosh, a Frost. We haven't seen them play that 5 times thus far in this matchup. But it's down to how GGG Academy is able to adjust to the deep setup. We've seen them do so before. It's not like it's the end of the world for them, but the problem is, if they can't clear out this top floor quickly as they have to, they may fall victim to another one of loading, playing in a corner, and then catching them off guard.
Did that Twitch drone get the Mira? It did. Great utility usage from Rethinking right there, as that Mira is open. It's still going to have an angle that watches a lot of it as that wall is reinforced, but that gives it a lot easier of really a take for GGG Academy, as Karn does find that kill just off the back of that mirror being open, as that player did start to fall back, but the cutoff was there. A much better start for GGG on this attack as Shapai retakes that position, but not able to find the kill, and he has now put himself at a terrible spot, but Drix
Wait.
off of that play, playing off of Shapai right here. He's sneaking his way up, and he should be good for at least one kill. The shot misses. He finds the first kill, finds the second, but Afer finds one in return. Rethinking gets one. He gets traded out. Afer taken down as well. Wi-Fi all down to you as he finds one kill, but has no idea where Nyx is. So much chaos happening at once as Nyx has it all down to him to close out this series.
At this point, it should be a game of hide and go seek. The problem is Wi-Fi has so much information gaining ability. Both Rotero drones as well. A flash forward. I'm not sure if that's going to land onto him. Instead, it lands onto himself. Nyx playing close range with the shorty in hand. AR-33 up against the Shupu shorty at close range. Can he find the kill? Nyx, first glance, decides to switch to the UMP and gets active with it. Method will close it out off the back of it. Long range Nyx turns into the nightmare that GGG were worried about as they are eliminated from SFCL Season 6 and Method keep themselves alive.
Method do keep themselves alive, and great from them, but so close from GGG to push us to that round 15. Illustrious round 15, famous round 15, iconic round 15. Not able to do it though. Method do close it out at one point, but a much scrappier map than that map of Chalet, but it was to be expected as Border can do that sometimes in certain matchups.
Feels so bad though for GGG Academy making the 4-round comeback from 6-2 down, sending it to OT. That happens. I don't know what the heck just happened. It was a trade off of a bait, a follow-up trade, a kill from behind, and then Nyx playing hide and go seek until he was forced out of position. Basically just chaos upon trades upon more chaos, and then all that. But all in all, Method closed things out, and a win's a win. That's what they say at the end of the day. They stay alive here in SFCL Season 4, 6. This is SFCL Season 6. But Joe, GGG Academy, again, it wasn't they look bad. It was more of, well, it was just show up for Method, and they did later on.
Yeah, they did, but it was, I don't know, not necessarily something you expect. It was a lot better from them in that last round. That was kind of the coordination you'd expect to see from a team like that, but it was non-existent for a while, and GGG Academy was kind of capitalizing on that. And like you said, it wasn't necessarily them playing that well. They were just, I wouldn't say lucky to find themselves in those positions, but they just had the right timings on almost everything, especially earlier on in the round, and continuing to find themselves in advantageous positions and capitalizing on those opportunities. And there were still more opportunities that they could have capitalized on, and certain clutches that had happened, and Border did shape out that way. I expected GGG to maybe win that map. Obviously, it was a lot closer, and they did have a little bit more of an advantage than they did on Chalet, which did kind of go as expected. But, I mean, nothing too shocking from this series.
No, and GGG Academy now being out leaves Method in one of those 6 spots in round 5. My Swiss stage reading skills aren't the greatest because I haven't really looked at them since either last SFCL or the last time there was a Counter-Strike major. But if I am reading this one correctly, Method now has a Buckle score of 18, and they will move into the technical 4th place of the current 5 teams that remain. They will play either Orbit or Make-A-Wish, depending on who wins the Decimate Lycus Empire game. Outlast should be taking on the opposite of those two, with West Garfield Park possibly taking on either Decimate or Lycus Empire as well. It's a weird situation with how the final spot will be brought up, but away from the season as a whole and into our stats to break this one down, Joe. Looking at the numbers, tell me what you see.
Yeah, I don't believe this is our map 2 stats, unfortunately. GC not loading is only 9 and 8. And that brother dropped a nuke. And Wi-Fi also dropped a nuke. Shame on you for giving us the wrong stats. I won't snitch. I won't blame you publicly, but just know you've disappointed me. Just know.
We'll move on. And the conversation, I'm going to go back to the whole overall season taking on Lycus Empire. It's a weird situation for everybody as they determine who's playing who in the later stages in round 5. Of course, there's still one best of 3 remaining between all of these teams. Still 3 best of 3s remaining throughout the rest of this. We move on to playoffs. I gotta get your answer on this one because I think I'm the most curious about it. What is your standout matchup thus far? And don't tell me the Aerial Rise Academy Orbit game because that's a cop-out answer. And I know you were gonna say it.
Oh, you can't, because it was only my thought. I wouldn't have to think about it. Like, I wouldn't have to think about it. But now I have to think about it. Dude, you now put me on the spot.
I've been doing that.
I don't know. But I believe I don't have to think about it because we have an interview, so I get a little bit of a cop-out.
I'll come
A little
back to
bit.
you on that one. We'll move into our interview. Joining me is Nix from Method. And Nick, starting things off, we'll go chronologically because everybody likes that. Starting things off, you guys won the series, and you're moving on to the Swiss round 5. Tell me about how you feel after winning the series as a whole.
Oh, it was obviously a stressful series, but the thing is like, it was kind of a stressful series because of ourselves. We could have won that first map 7-1, and we could have closed out Border probably, a little bit more convincingly than 8-6. I'm not really sure what the score was, but it could have been. But yeah, I don't know. I think obviously we just feel like relieved to kind of obviously get out of that series 2-0 because I think that everyone knows like everyone on this team is like really good potential, and we obviously we obviously are here to showcase that. So it was a good 2-0 to do that.
And the conversation around that confidence and arrogance, they always say there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. And I'm not sure what you guys were feeling. Obviously, I'm not in the team comms, but you guys were up, as you said, 6-1 and 6-2 between Chalet and Border, respectively. Yet you allowed it to get down to a 7 scoreline in the first map and then to OT in map 2. Talk to me about how you readjusted after having to give up a few of those rounds and how you were able to bring it back and close out both of those.
I mean, it was just making the realization to know like the mistakes that we were making on Chalet. It was just that we were staying too long on roams and not getting enough people back on site to be able to close out the rounds. And then on Border, it's the same thing, just making sure we're realizing our mistakes. So once we identify like the things that we're doing wrong, I'm able to tell the guys like, hey, these are the things that we're doing wrong. If we just do these things, we're going to be able to win the game, because we were dominating those guys in terms of opening engagements. I think Shapai was just like running around the map with Oryx, killing everyone. I'm pretty sure Steven, like Drix, was just doing the same thing with Alibi or whoever, Azami. So yeah, I just had to tell the guys, just everyone just relax. Let's just close it in. Make sure we're just closing out these man advantages, and we should be able to close it out 2-0.
And coming into the season, you guys did close this out 2-0, but what's your thought process now into round 5? Of course, it's do or die. It has been this series. It will be in the next couple days. Talk to me about how you're looking into the playoffs.
Obviously, everyone would like to make it to the playoffs just because that's where the money is everywhere, obviously, and that's where more exposure and you get obviously more games in this amazing league. So obviously, everyone is super excited to try to make playoffs and stuff like that. There's some decent teams, I think, WGP and Outlast. So going to be some interesting matchups to see who we get. Right now, I think the team is just more so focused on just improving every single day and just making sure we're getting value out of our practices. Because regardless, even after the end of this season, we're trying to stay together, and some of us are going to be together, and we're going to be trying to make it a long-term, what's the word I'm looking for? Just a long-term, a team. I don't want to say team. I was going to say a long-term team, but I just feel like it's like a cop-out. There's a word I'm looking for, but a long-term system, a long-term team. But yeah, stuff like that.
Well, I appreciate the insight. Any final thoughts from you on the series, or anybody you want to shout out before we let you go? The floor is yours.
No, I thought the team played well. Shout out to Shapai and Loading. Those guys are great players. I thought everyone on the team did their job, and appreciate you guys for running an amazing league. Appreciate to all the viewers, and yeah, that's it. Appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Well, they did a good job, but the job's not done. They will move on to round number 5 here in the Swiss stage. That was Nix from Loading. More of the support role, but still showing up in the kill feed more often than not in a couple of these maps. And Joe, I'm going to go back to the previous question, because you've actually given me an answer. I'm going to ask it out loud because obviously they can't see our live chat. Favorite / most outstanding series from you taking at this season as a whole?
Yeah, it was a little best of one. It was actually West Garfield Park against GGG Academy. It was very one-sided, but it was kind of a remnant of old Siege. It was West Garfield Park. It was just playing some of the best cookie cutter Siege you could possibly think of. It was just like they were so perfect in so many ways, especially on their defenses. It was just so fantastic to see. It's my answer. I'm hoping everyone could agree. If you haven't watched that game and you're a team that's new or a new player or anything, go watch that game. See how to defend Theme Park, because it was beautiful.
I was about to say, Theme Park, that matchup, always clean, and GGG playing one of those three on theme, or all three of them, I suppose, on theme. Always a chaotic conversation. Before we close things out, Joe, with Method moving on and GGG now being eliminated, what are your thoughts on Method moving forward? I have readjusted my mathematics, by the way. They are currently at 18 on their Buckle score. They're in 4th place. They will play Lycus Empire if they win, or they will play Orbit they will play West Garfield Park if Decimates. What are your thoughts on them moving forward to round 5? Because that's only a few days away.
It's really tough for me, just because I think at their best they can be very good. And honestly, if they don't have me casting, they're in deep trouble, because I've casted them in their 2 wins and they've looked quite good in their 2 wins. I have not casted them in their 2 losses and they've looked not great in their 2 losses. So I don't want to say anything too crazy here, but I feel like I'm the key. I may be the key. I might be the missing piece, but in all seriousness, I think sometimes against those better teams, it can be really tough. I don't think they maybe necessarily have enough, but they have shown it before. I just don't think they've shown it against good enough teams to be able to, for instance, have my confidence in them beating a team like West Garfield Park. But you never know. It's Siege, and any given day, anybody can beat anybody. And if they're playing well on that given day, maybe get lucky and the other team isn't playing that well, you never know what can happen. But I'm still confident. I think they'll look good. I think it'll be a close game with whoever they play, but it will be a tough game.
They say in sports, any given Sunday, mostly football, because that mostly happens on Sunday. In esports, it's any day that ends in Y. And spoiler alert, they all do. We'll find out how the rest of our series go. There are 4 series left in SFCL Season 4. Only one of them is to set up the other 3. It's Lycus Empire taking on Decimate. Winner moves on to the Season 6 Round 5 Swiss stage. The loser is out. It's V and Scott to take you through that as we head to a break.